They're very big day in the market. Stock market, all-time highs basically across the board. More on that a little bit later in the video. Crypto market, more and more people are coming around to the very obvious reality, which is that we're not in a bear market. We haven't been in a bear market, and this thing's going way higher. The 4-year cycle is dead. We don't have to wait 4 years to see new all-time highs and the peak of another market cycle. We're still in the same market cycle. And I have seen on social media at least some analysts admit that they were wrong, and I actually respect that quite a bit. I like intellectual honesty. I don't expect perfection from any analyst that I follow, but to see that they believe something and then publicly state, which isn't fun. It's never fun to admit you're wrong, but for them to state, got this one wrong, nothing but respect. But we are going higher. Doesn't mean you can't have pullbacks in the short term, but we're going way higher. And I'm going to start the video by sharing with you perspective from a number of different chart analysts for XRP specifically, because what I'm noticing now is a bunch of analysts. I'm not going to highlight all of them because I'm kind of beating the dead horse, but I'm going to highlight a bunch of examples of chart analysts who have historically had a pretty darn good track record, saying XRP is looking pretty damn primed. This is a moment where we're going to get a move. And one of the most exciting things to me, and it's going to be towards the beginning part of the video, one of the most exciting things to me is a recognition from one of these analysts that the next pump that we get to conclude this market cycle for XRP is going to dwarf what we saw during the first pump in November of 2024. And why? Well, in a nutshell, we'll talk more about it in just a couple minutes here, but in a nutshell, it's because when XRP pumps, and specifically it's during an actual alt season, there's way more money flooding in. XRP did pump. Love to see that it outperformed in 2024 and towards the end of the year in 2025. That was without an alt season. So you think that was bananas? Wait until you see XRP run during an alt season. And so that's why when you see these analysts, one of the analysts I'm highlighting is calling for $19, another one's calling for over $21 in this video. I'm going to highlight that. That's why even though I don't know if those price expectations, those price predictions are going to get hit, but I firmly believe that it is not unreasonable to have such speculation. Those types of things do happen in the crypto market, and I fully recognize I could be wrong about XRP and it could go to zero, but I think my conviction is rightly placed. That's why I've been holding it for so long. This is a long-term investment for me. I've been holding it since 2017. I've never sold a single XRP, but I tell you this, when that price gets high enough, I'm going to unhold. I'm going to sell like crazy. That's because that's the moment I've been waiting for. And it will be life-changing at that point. And I do believe that it's coming. And so if you think so too, just know I'm on your side. You ain't crazy. There's lots of us that think this. As I record this video, it is 11:16 p.m. Central Time, Wednesday, May 6th, 2026. XRP is $1.40. Bitcoin at $80,878. XRP with a 24-hour high this morning, $1.45. At the same time, Bitcoin hit its all-time high, 24-hour high rather, today, this morning, $82,571. Now, of course, we were told that wasn't supposed to happen. Most analysts said, nope, you ain't gonna see it. You're gonna see Bitcoin at $30,000 or $40,000 before you see $80,000 ever again. Well, they were wrong. And it was very predictable that they would be proven wrong. And now here we are. We are going so much higher. So again, I'm not saying you can't go a little bit lower in the short term, but it is so obvious ultimately where we're heading. Take a look at this post from chart analyst Dom to kick off the XRP portion of the video here, which there's just, honestly, I got too excited and I thought it was too interesting to not start with the XRP stuff for this video. And then I'll talk a little bit more about like the broader market. But when I start to notice that there are a lot of analysts like, guys, it looks like something's going to happen with XRP, I'm inclined to make that a focus in the video, which is why I'm doing this. Doesn't mean it's happening literally today, tomorrow, next week. And it's not the case that it's literally like the strong majority of analysts that I follow, but it's enough where I was like, huh, that's interesting. The analysts are, some of them anyway, are starting to say very similar things again. Because what I found is out of the sample size of analysts that I choose to follow, I just found that over the years, as they have the same or similar opinion, like just occurring at the same time, they're almost always right. So I wouldn't say we have enough of them preaching exactly the same thing for me to have that level of confidence. But It's enough where I'm like, this is starting to get interesting, and it's happening at a time where Bitcoin's taking off. So if you do see continuation for Bitcoin, don't be surprised if XRP has a rip to the upside, the likes of which we haven't seen in the better part of a year. And it doesn't mean that that's the moment where we're in alt season and necessarily we finally get price discovery, but something fun could be up. And so anyway, here's what chart analyst Dom had to say. XRP has been going sideways for nearly 3 months now. Something's gonna snap soon. Acceptance over about $1.47, and a large move can be on the horizon. Just need a little bull action to trigger it, which will happen if Bitcoin can pull off this breakout. Yeah, exactly. So we didn't quite hit a $1.47 today. But geez, I won't be surprised. The market moves in tandem. If Bitcoin does pull off a breakout here, don't be surprised if XRP starts getting Cindy for the first time in a while. Then there's also this post from Crypto Insight UK. Now this is fascinating, and what he's saying here, I know, is it's absolutely in line with historic precedent. The next rally that we get for XRP, which I believe will almost certainly, like true big rally, to cap off the cycle, it will be happening during an alt season. That's the exciting part. Let me just say this before I read what's on the screen here. Last cycle and the cycle before that, there were two major price bursts for XRP. You get one seemingly out of nowhere, stuns people, then it consolidates, and then you get the next one, and that one's even bigger. The second one's even bigger in terms of dollars. Why was the second one bigger in terms of dollars? Well, in each of those instances, it's because the second one was when alt season was occurring. So if you think about last cycle, it was November, it was the very beginning of November 2020. XRP was hovering around, I'm pulling from memory, so this isn't 100% precise, but it's about right. XRP is probably like 25 cents, could have been a few cents higher. And it'd been hanging out there in price, that like this price range between 20 and 30 cents for like several months. People felt like it was just never going to end. But it ended, and it ended fast. And it ended when like most of the chart analysts I follow are like, guys, no, really, XRP's about to go. And so I shared it on the channel at the time leading up to it. It's like, guys, the analysts I follow don't normally talk like this, but they all are now. And once you know it, that was the moment when XRP ripped from 20-something cents up to over 80 cents. That was the first burst for the cycle. And obviously, the second burst when it happened, obviously minimalized because of the SEC lawsuit. But the bigger move in terms of dollars, happened in April 2021 during alt season. So then you think about, okay, so that's what happened last cycle, and fine, it was dampened because of the SEC nonsense. Go back to the cycle before that. You had, I can't remember if it was like March, April, maybe it was May 2017. XRP had its first big burst where it was like half a penny, and then it ran up to like 42 cents or something like that. Then it went back down, lost over half its value, moved sideways for half a year roughly. And then when you had the crazy mania of alt season in late 2017, that's when XRP truly melted faces. And it ripped to its then all-time high of about $3.30. So what I'm saying is we haven't had that second pump yet because we haven't had alt season. Wait till that comes. XRP will substantially outperform other coins in the top 100. I firmly believe that's the most probable anyway. So we'll see what happens. I don't make price predictions, and I admit I could be wrong. It's my suspicion. I'm entitled to my opinion just like you are yours. We'll see what happens here. I just don't think we're going to be disappointed. XRP is no longer artificially suppressed, and it's functionally useful. That has to matter. And I know it does. Now, of course, once the green candles get going, that's not why the price starts pumping. That's because people are FOMOing into it. Trust me, I understand that. But the fact that XRP is in the position that it's in is because of people like me and people like you value utility. I wouldn't be here reporting for duty every day, running this YouTube channel, hanging out in the community, if I didn't believe that. But XRP is useful. So anyway, here's what he had to say. This is Crypto Insight UK here. XRP building a weekly base in the $1.40 level is extremely exciting. Relative Strength Index bullish cross and MACD bullish cross from its lowest level in history. So you can see the MACD right here. This is the momentum indicator. Look at this. And again, this is on the weekly here, but look at that. Green few weeks there, right? And then you saw about the cross here with the Relative Strength Index. So it looks like, that oversold or close to oversold, depending on what your technical qualifications are for it. That lowest point in terms of strength, meaning the most oversold it's been, that's the most oversold XRP had been in years. And he's saying, look at that, moving to the upside. Interesting. At a time when you would expect it. And then he says, imagine this like an elastic band. We've pushed the furthest down we've ever been as measured by momentum. Now they're indicating that momentum direction is changing as prices bottoming on previous resistance, all whilst we are at the $1.40 area. I expect when the release of this momentum and volatility comes, the move will be more aggressive than our move in November 2024. Spot on, Crypto Insight UK. I 100% agree. This is going to be way more aggressive. Now, what's interesting is he's citing technical reasons as to why he believes that just based on what he sees in the charts. And I'm saying from historic precedent, that is what's happened. And then it gave you the logic behind the human behavior that resulted in it. So this is great supplementary evidence for what I'm saying I firmly believe was the cause of this. It's just the environment that you're in. Way more money flowing in. It just makes logical sense. And yeah, XRP, it's gonna outshine the competition, man. That's what I think. Here's a post from chart analyst Bird, another analyst that thinks something's coming up here. He says XRP is looking incredible here. So he thinks we're about to hit the apex based on the trend lines he drew and number go up. There's this from Chart Nerd, and he wrote, with a potential apex approaching and XRP oscillating between an average of $1.50 resistance to $1.30 support over the last 9 to 10 weeks, a decisive break is on the horizon. And that's the message I keep seeing from so many analysts today. I'm just sharing a few examples along those lines, but there's more. I just keep seeing this. And so he says, for now, the price remains in neutral structure. Now, it is, of course, fair to note that he has been warning it's possible that when you do see the move, it could be to the downside. He's warned it's possible you could briefly see XRP under $1. A handful of analysts I follow have been warning that's possible at least. And I say fair enough. You know, Bitcoin tanks, XRP goes down with it. It's not impossible. I'm not saying I'm convinced that's the most probable thing, but it's reasonable. It's reasonable. But either regardless, two things. Even if that happens, he has stated he still thinks we're going into double-digit price action for XRP, even if we dip below $1. And second, like I said, another analyst saying there's going to be something happening soon. We're reaching the apex sooner rather than later. And it certainly is a possibility that this move, when it happens, will be to the upside. Here's a post from Crypto Michael, another analyst I follow, who accurately called XRP breaking out in 2024 when it was not popular to say such a thing, when fewer people were interested in even hearing anything about XRP throughout that entire period, and he got crap from it online, just like all of us do if we like XRP. Well, because there are toxic people out there, toxic Bitcoin maxis. He just said what he thought. He articulated why, and yes, he was right. And what is he saying now? And mind you, he doesn't normally talk like this. Here's what he said. XRP bottom is in, major bullish rally imminent. So, let's see if he's right. But it's another analyst that's saying something's going to happen sooner or later, and he doesn't normally talk like that. He just doesn't. He'll share his perspective about what's most probable over roughly so-and-so time frame, blah, blah, blah. Here specifically, though, he's speaking with some serious bull language. He doesn't always do that, though. So it caught my attention. There's this post from chart analyst Ali Martinez, who apparently has flipped from bear to bull. And he was just noting that if XRP were to close above $1.45, you could see a big jump up to $1.80. We didn't get that close today, obviously. But he's also looking at something happening sooner rather than later. Then there was this post from chart analyst X-Force Global. And he was charting XRP hitting upwards of $19 here. So, again, I have no idea if a level like that's going to get hit this market cycle, but I know it ain't crazy. That is not remotely unreasonable to speculate about or to make a prediction about for this market cycle. Stuff like this does happen in crypto. It sounds, if it's never happened to you, it sounds like, oh, it could never happen to me. Nothing that great would ever happen to me. And to that I say, stop having a defeatist attitude. It's going to happen. You choose whether you're here or not, whether you have exposure. It's going to happen whether you exist or don't exist. I'm just saying, it's not about you. I'm saying the crypto market does this stuff. That's why I'm here. I'm getting mine too. You know, I've never had these types of gains in my entire life ever until I've jumped into crypto in 2017, and now I've let time do the heavy lifting. That's what it is. That's what it takes. That's it. Now I've gotten them too. I could have been defeatist. Oh, it's never going to happen. I'm so late to crypto. Which is what it felt to people who were new in 2017. But now it's almost a decade later, and now it isn't. So even if you are new, let time do the heavy lifting. You have the opportunity. These numbers, historically real. It's just that people sometimes have this feeling like, oh, it could never happen to me. Well, that's bullshit. It can happen to you. You know, good things can happen to you. Life-changing wealth can occur. You know, if you buy the right assets and you hold the a sufficient length of time, it's not get rich quick stuff though. That's the other thing that people struggle with. You can't just jump into crypto and expect to be a millionaire from that specifically overnight. That's just not how this works for almost anyone. And you see the stories where that does happen. Those are outlier instances. Those are super rare instances that are not realistic. That's not representative of what's normal in crypto. What's normal in crypto is, yes, you can get wild, life-changing wealth, but you got to wait a little bit and you got to not be a damn fool. And that's why I always say, when it comes to investing, you are your own worst enemy. Because if somebody's going to screw it up, it's probably not going to be someone else. It's probably going to be you. And I don't say that to be insulting. I think that we should all recognize we are our own greatest. And that's why I have such strict requirements for me when it comes to investing. And you guys do whatever you want. I'm not telling you to do, it's like, just do whatever you want. After I buy stuff, no matter what, I just hold. And if that means so-and-so goes to zero because it was never going to go, fine. And then I put most of the dollars I earned into crypto, I put it into coins that I firmly believe in based on utility. That's why most of the individual dollars went to XRP. In terms of which coin got the most dollars, that's what I'm saying. It went to XRP. And there are other coins where I put a lot of money in. But it's it's pretty concentrated. I hold a lot of different coins, but in terms of the dollars going in. So I think if we just wait a little bit more, wait till we get this alt season, like it can happen for all of us. Lamborghini's on the moon, my friends. I'm telling you. Then there's this from chart analyst CW. XRP is forming a second bullish candle after the golden cross. A bigger bullish candle is expected to appear in the next candle. The real rally begins after the all-time high breakout. And so he also believes when we get going, we enter price discovery, that's where it really happens. He's charting, this is his top take profit area, $21.50 per XRP. $21.50. He does believe that is perfectly reasonable. I don't know if we'll hit it, but I don't think that's crazy. I know that ain't crazy. Then there was this from chart analyst Greg Crypto. XRP TikTok time is running out. The symmetrical triangle on XRP is becoming impossible to ignore. Price keeps compressing tighter and tighter, and historically this type of structure always leads to a violent expansion move. The measured targets are becoming crystal clear, but there's one major battlefield standing in the way, and that's $1.80 to $1.90. This zone is not just resistance, it's the macro trend barrier. If XRP breaks through it with conviction, then the path towards $2.30 opens rapidly, especially with support bouncing from the white line structure. But despite the bullish setup, I'm still leaning toward the fake pump scenario first. History shows XRP loves to pump aggressively, trap breakout traders, retest at deeper levels, then ignite the real move. That's why he's still watching for a fake breakout, a macro retest, potential lower lows, or even a macro double bottom formation. And if that scenario unfolds, I'll be going all in again into XRP. And so he is another one of the analysts who, by the way, has warned it's possible XRP could dip below $1, but he does believe, by a lot, what is most probable, by the time this cycle's over, XRP will peak into double-digit price action. He didn't say that in this post, but he shared enough posts that I am well aware of where he thinks it's realistic for XRP to go. Those price ranges are not crazy. They're just not. Definitely not. And take a look at this today to just continue to prove we're in a risk-on environment. Could not freaking be more obvious. Look at this. This is from the Kobasi letter. Breaking. And this is from this afternoon, 3 p.m. Central. The S&P 500 closes at its highest level on record, now up 16.6% since the March 30th bottom. That's $9.6 trillion in market cap in 27 trading days. Folks, that's bananas. This is not crypto. This is traditional finance. Whew. On fire, my friends. Here's the S&P 500 today. Closed at 7,365 index points. It's up 1.46% today. You look at the Russell, outpaced it again barely, but it did outpace at 1.47%. Russell 2000 closed at 2,886 index points. Like, this is a real breakout for the Russell 2000, and this matters if you're in crypto, because these are small cap stocks, which are riskier. And when the riskier stocks break out, you know what has happened every single time in history after this is a true bull run in crypto. We are talking full-blown alt season. We have never had a true breakout with the Russell 2000, the riskier stocks, that didn't then show that there ended up being massive run for crypto. Every single time there's been a run. I do not think this time is likely to be different, folks. The best is yet ahead. And see, look at all these factors I keep highlighting. You can look at PMI, shows that we're in economic expansion. You can see the copper gold metric, which tons of analysts I follow have been highlighting. It looks like that has bottomed and is in the beginning phase of breaking out, possibly or probably, depending on who you ask. There's so many different things. You can look at what's happening with trucking. There's so many indications that the economy, it's actually booming. And you've also got global liquidity at an all-time high. And that's the backbone of all this. So there's more money sloshing around for people and businesses and institutions. It is the recipe for alt season. Because more money sloshing around, people start to feel like, oh, well, okay, I've got more money than I did before. Let's get a little risky. Let's go a little further out the risk curve. I'll invest into this thing. Fine, we'll get into the small caps. A little riskier, but there's some opportunity there. What's this crypto thing? Oh, yeah, that's a little bit riskier than even small cap stocks. Let's put some money into crypto. What's this small caps? What's this shitcoin meme? What? Yeah, well, that's super. You know what? And so you can see that the logic. This is how humans behave. Go further and further into the next riskiest thing, and then the next riskiest thing. You eventually get to the riskiest part of the riskiest asset class on the planet, which is crypto, and then you get to this. I mean, small caps and crypto. And this is the environment in which XRP thrives most. History shows us that. It is not opinion. That's why I say when we get this second pump, it's going to be freaking gigantic. I don't make price predictions, but I'll predict that general, it's a general statement. I do believe that, though. I firmly believe that is coming. We're not in a bear market. We haven't been in one. It was a mid-cycle correction we've been through. And the best is yet ahead. We don't have to wait years. That's my bet. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.